YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. While the results were coming in, or the staged, scripted results of the fake election were coming in on all the mainstream media outlets that apparently everybody trusts now because it's working in their favor, I noticed that Elon Musk tweeted this out. While Donald Trump results were coming in, he decided to screenshot and share when Donald Trump was at 69.9%. And he wrote, quote, "The prophecy has been fulfilled." Now, I don't know how much more in our faces this type of stuff can get, as we see Christians and conservatives being gaslit into thinking that Donald Trump is the second coming of Jesus himself. We see them putting him on the same level as Jesus, but just, of course, not admitting that they worship him. They say they worship Jesus, but Trump is their president. Yet all the artwork that we've seen out there, the imagery, the golden statues, the golden idols that a lot of these MAGA supporters bring to some of his rallies, the shoes, the outfits, everything we see is Trump hysteria. And of course, it's understandable why people are turning to Donald Trump, because our government has shown that they are not working for you. People become so discouraged with the government that they're putting hope in man. But the Bible has warned all of us about not putting our hope in man. But clearly, most Christians just continue to get deceived. And when you see Elon Musk tweet this out, I mean, are you not seeing what I'm seeing? Flip the 2 9s. 666, the prophecy has been fulfilled. Now, obviously, we're living in a time period where most of these people are not going to see any of this stuff that's actually right in front of their faces. They refuse to see the fake assassination attempts as actual scripted events where they were completely done to bring and sucker people in further. If they wanted to off him, they would have offed him. But we have to pay attention to these things that are happening right in front of us. Elon Musk is literally the face now of the MAGA movement. This is the same guy who is currently running trials and running human experiments with the Neuralink, where people are getting technology implanted in their bodies that is able to get them to perform things like telepathy, which are forms of witchcraft and sorcery, where their thoughts on their mind are being relayed to screens and to technology. Elon Musk, of course, had to get sided with Donald Trump because this deception that's going to go on is going to be geared towards Christians. So the prophecy has been fulfilled. You would think that Christians who are following the fake election would see this, that they might have an understanding of the book of Revelation. I know most 501c3 churches, which of course all support Israel, all support Donald Trump, do not actually read the book of Revelation. But for those of you that don't know, Revelation 13, chapter 13, verse 18, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now, you might say that that says 69.9%, but Elon Musk using terminology like prophecy being fulfilled, and everybody out there should know the law of reversals, that these numbers in front of us can be flipped upside down. It could be 99.9%, but inverted, that would still be 66.6%, and you'd have your 666. And what are the comments underneath the post that Elon Musk makes? Well, it's just people saying the prophecy has been fulfilled and even surpassed. We keep seeing surges of 70% chances to win for Trump. Trump is winning. It's God's will. Israel prays for Donald Trump. We need him now more than ever. Prophecy will be fulfilled soon. Prophecy, prophecy, prophecy. Someone says America has been given another chance to renew the commitment of our great and generous nation to the principles that made America's shining beacon of the freedoms that make men giants. Yes, Elon, the prophecy has been fulfilled. Praise God. So, of course, we have people now speaking on behalf of God, which is frightening enough to see people who are automatically saying that this is God's choice. God has chosen this person. They refuse to believe that there are wicked people who are playing and deceiving them, right? They refuse to read the Bible about great deceptions, the Antichrist, and performing miracles and wonders, all these things that are ahead of us that might actually be unfolding right now. And again, you see the 666, right? The 69.9%. Where else have we seen the 666 associated with Trump? Well, we've seen it all over. We've seen Donald Trump, even the logo for MAGA is this AOK sign that Trump's been holding up for 8 years. People take selfies of themselves holding it up. This is the 666 sign. He is not showing the symbol saying things are A-OK. He's not showing this saying he's a fan of professional wrestler John Cena. That is the 666 sign that they flash up, that we see celebrities do all the time. How come when the celebrities flash it, everybody points a finger and says, look, they're Satanists, they're holding up the 666. But when Trump does it, he gets a free pass, right? When Trump does it, it's not a big deal. When Trump does it, he's not referencing that. But when the celebrities are doing it, of course, then the majority of people say to themselves, yeah, they're holding a 666 up over their eye, whether it's Lady Gaga or the thousands of photos we've seen over the years of that being associated with the mark of the beast, that symbol, right? Not to mention the fact that Trump has a plethora of other things associated with him that could make us look at him as potentially the Antichrist, right? For those of you that don't know, his grandmother died on June 6, 1966. A lot of 666s in there. MAGA itself, okay? If you don't know the Church of Satan, MAGA is the highest degree in the Church of Satan. Then, of course, we had the fake assassination attempt, right? Revelation chapter 13, verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world marveled and followed the beast. What has happened since Donald Trump was shot in his ear? We don't even see a mark on his ear. He talks about how it miraculously healed. In fact, if you haven't seen some of the checklists out there about Donald Trump and the Antichrist, I highly recommend people start looking at it, because I think the majority of people believe that Barack Obama or Bill Gates or Dr. Fauci is the Antichrist. And I understand why, but if you actually look at what the Bible tells us about the Antichrist, it's going to be Christians who are deceived. Not many Christians are going to be deceived by Barack Obama, right? Look at the checklist with things that align with Trump and align with the Antichrist. Is he the lawless one? Check. Is he the boaster, speaking of his own greatness? Clearly, check. Is he the arrogant one? Check. Is he a pathological liar? Check. Is he the builder of towers? Check. Does he routinely break treaties? Check. Does he demand worship constantly? Check. Is he deceitful and attempts to lure the church into following him? Check. Is he the man of sin? Check. Did he brag to be the chosen one? Check. Does he show no compassion and no empathy? Check. Is he the son of perdition? Check. Is he the destroyer? Check. Does he constantly try to make himself look great? Check. And those are all backed up by biblical quotes. Now, you might look at some of those things and say, no, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. And he didn't do that, based on your perception of Donald Trump, right? But what is the other thing that's lingering with the potential Trump presidency? Everything going on in Israel, the 501c3 churches, which are designed to align Christians with the synagogue of Satan directly, to think that we need to go into war and protect Israel. And what has Donald Trump been saying? He's been saying things for months now about how he's going to bring peace to the Middle East. He tweeted out, during my administration, we had peace in the Middle East, and we will have peace again very soon. I will fix the problems caused by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and stop the suffering and destruction in Lebanon. I want to see the Middle East return to real peace, a lasting peace, and we will get it done properly so it doesn't repeat itself every 5 or 10 years. I will preserve the equal partnership among all Lebanese communities. Your friends and family in Lebanon deserve to live in peace, prosperity, and harmony with their neighbors, and that can only happen with peace and stability in the Middle East. I look forward to working with the Lebanese community living in the United States of America to ensure the safety and security of the great people of Lebanon. Vote Trump for peace. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. The Antichrist is going to come in the name of peace. So these are things that people need to pay attention to, because something as minuscule, or might seem as minuscule as a tweet from Elon Musk, is really how they've been operating for a long time, revealing themselves right in front of our faces and then deflecting by saying that they're using humor. How about the book The Last President, for anybody out there that doesn't know that narrative? And there's a bunch of books written by the same guy, Ingersoll Lockwood, that just happen to be about a rich boy named Barron Trump who goes on adventures to realms, other realms, spiritual realms. But the book, The Last President, is about a main character who isn't given a name in the book, but is an outsider candidate who unexpectedly wins the U.S. election. Well, what was Trump when he won the first election, right? Nobody expected him to win. He's quote unquote, at least presented to us as an outsider, an enemy of the deep state, someone who's going to drain the swamp, right? Well, it's right in that book. His victory shakes the nation, inciting widespread fear, panic, and outrage, particularly among the elites and residents along Fifth Avenue in New York. In the novel, the new president promises to dismantle corrupt government institutions and strongly criticizes the media for its role in manipulating public opinion. He claims that they purposely fuel division and unrest among the people, which goes into his narrative about fake news, right? Lots of baiting going on there. There's even a character in the book with the last name Pence, which ties into Mike Pence, his first vice president. And the book ends suggesting that a dramatic shift in the U.S. leadership hints at a point of no return for the United States of America's political system. So that's another narrative that's out there that we need to follow. Of course, the narrative with Barron Trump and the Antichrist, I'll cover in separate videos, being potentially the Antichrist. How he's slowly being presented to us if there is some type of a quote-unquote assassination attempt against Trump, where they tell us that he's no longer alive. Could we see Barron Trump rise to power? These are all things that we have to keep an eye on. But in the middle of an election, right, a fake election, but in the middle of all this chatter where everybody's online, everybody's trying to figure out who's winning what state. They love, again, calling the news fake, but then when they're telling them the results of the election, they're going to believe them, right? And they're going to believe the outcome, and they're going to get their information there. And they're talking about the numbers that are coming out. And of all the numbers for Elon Musk to screenshot and share and say the prophecy has been fulfilled, it happens to be that number 69.9. And anybody out there thinks that he's referencing 69 as some type of perverted joke, he's referencing 666. And Elon Musk, with the Neuralink and the technology that he's involved in and the deceptions that are going to come with SpaceX and convincing these conservatives that aliens are real, not demons, and that we could go to other planets, and that he's flying spaceships out there while he's chipping people with Neuralink technology that's going to benefit how long people can live. These people are going to get sucked into a major deception, and they show it to you right in front of your face. You don't have to believe by watching my video. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. I'm not saying that Barron Trump is the Antichrist. Everybody out there is always going to have their opinion on who the Antichrist is. But the Bible makes it clear you have to follow what the Bible tells us and the things that we look for and the qualities in an Antichrist. Now, you would look at Donald Trump and you would say, well, he doesn't really look like one. He's an orange man, but he is orange like the sun, right? Like Apollo. So there's a lot of themes with Donald Trump. And we have never seen so many Christians so sucked into something like they are now. And again, think about how the church has brought people into this. All the persecution, which really, if you think about what Christians have gone through throughout the years, if you think back to the Armenian genocide, Christians have gone through a lot worse than what we're going through right now. Losing free speech is nothing compared to what a lot of Christians have gone through throughout real history. They've been persecuted. They've been executed. Okay, so to compare what's happening now with, transgenders in libraries to that is ridiculous. But most people feel this heavy oppression on Christian shoulders because all of these people, all these famous people are doing all these things to gaslight Christians by making them upset with what's happening in the world, what they're normalizing, what they're not. And instead of Christians taking matters into their own hands and saying, we don't need to send our kids to school in the first place, right? Getting all upset about the curriculum in the school and what they're trying to change. What they should be saying is, why are we even sending them to school? Oh, why? So you could have off from 9 to 3 and you could go work a job at a desk because maybe you need the money, or maybe you need the fulfillment to say that you have a job so your friends don't make fun of you for being a stay-at-home mom. The simple fact is that kids shouldn't be getting sent to these institutions. They're indoctrination camps. So when they do this stuff, you should just be saying, well, we don't need the system. We don't need Big Brother to tell us how to raise our kids. We should be raising our kids in the Bible and raising them by teaching them trades that'll help them survive, like how to grow food, how to do all sorts of things that you don't actually learn in school, because the majority of stuff you learn is just fake history, so that they can control your thought process as you leave the school system and think that this is real and that's real when it's all make-believe. So because of all the stuff that they've done over the last couple of years, Christians have more and more turned to Donald Trump because they're exhausted. They're looking for somebody in power, somebody out there who has a voice to defend them. And that's what they look at him as. They look at him as if he's defending them against these sick psychopaths. But they don't realize that he's one of them, and that the Bible warns so many times about deceptions, about tickling ears, about the qualities to look for in the Antichrist, his wound being healed. All this narrative now about divine intervention saving him from the bullet, magically being healed, and then everybody saying that God has put him in this place to turn America around. They've convinced themselves of this. That is part of the psychosis. And they're going to believe whatever Donald Trump does going forward, they're going to be emotionally invested in it. And they're not going to see the truth. So if Donald Trump is revealed as the Antichrist, or Barron Trump is revealed as the Antichrist, they're never going to see it. Just like they don't see the stuff that we're talking about. I've seen so many of them come over to my channel, and they're like, oh, he's talking about things that, conspiracy, so he's definitely a Trump supporter. And then when I don't support either candidate, they think that I'm supporting Kamala Harris. They don't grasp the whole both sides are controlled. They can't grasp it. They are so indoctrinated with believing that their vote counts and that you have to be a part of one political party or the other, that if you don't pick Donald Trump, then you're not even a Christian in the first place. That's what most of these people are saying. And it's scary to see all these signs in front of us of a potential Antichrist being associated, or in fact being Donald Trump. But we'll see how all of this plays out. I think people are always so quick to jump on the Antichrist bandwagon to think it's just somebody that they hate, right? So most Christians are looking at it and they're like, oh man, Barry Soetoro, aka Barack Obama, he's the Antichrist. Look at him. They had that depiction of him in that television series that looked just like Barack Obama, the Antichrist in the video. So, people just automatically think that it's going to be somebody who shows themselves as opposition to what they believe. They don't realize the Antichrist is going to deceive many. So it's going to be somebody that they're drawn into, that they like, that they in fact worship without admitting that they worship. How many of these MAGA people don't admit that they worship him? They're like, I don't worship him, right? It's the same with the libs when you get on them about somebody. It's like, I don't worship them. I just like some of the stuff they do. They go in their bedroom, they got posters of them, statues, tattoos of these people. And they're like, that's not idol worship. We've never seen idol worship like this, right? The Christians are rolling out statues, literally golden statues, which, they aren't familiar with the golden calf. They aren't familiar with Bible verses about this. And they're not. They're not, because the churches don't teach them. The majority of churches right now are preaching that Donald Trump is going to save America. And that's all that they hear. Their ears are being tickled. They're not looking in the right direction for who could potentially be deceiving them. They just see one enemy. They see the Democratic Party and they associate them with Satan himself. And there's a lot of truth to that. We see all the Satanism that the Democratic Party normalizes. We've seen what they've done through MK Ultra and all this mind control programming to convince people to be the opposite gender, to convince people to enjoy this preference in the bedroom. That's all very clear for people to see. But what they don't see is that they control both sides. Satan controls both political parties. And what would Satan want to do more than anything else? Deceive Christians into worshiping the Antichrist. And it seems to me that there's a lot of Christians out there who are getting very prepared to be led astray and have zero clue about what's actually going on. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. God bless all of you as always and your families.